国のアリス、ワンダフルワンダーワールド。
They're introducing where you're at, the country of hearts, that it's a dreamlike world and a controversial world. And then it's talking about how you decided to stay there in this country of hearts, and it's asking you to confirm your name. So I always just go with Alice, because I like it. And then it's just confirming that that's the name that you chose, so it confirmed. Now it's going to ask you to confirm where you want to stay for the prologue. Each of them are a couple hours long, because it's basically stat building to determine which routes you're going to take. You can end up on a couple of them. And with this one, I was going to go with the Mad Hatter's location. So it's going to ask you to choose. And the Mad Hatter is the Mafia boss of Wonderland in this version. So it's always pretty interesting when you stay there. And then it's just confirming that you do want to actually stay there. They don't give you the option for Clover Tower, which I'm doing in the Joker game. And I should have that posted up this week also, a part of the Clover Tower prologue. But for now, we're doing the Hatter prologue with Clover, the game. There's a voice calling her name, Alice. She's still sleeping, though. And she just makes a humming noise, The voice says her name again, Alice. And she's thinking to herself, who's calling me? She says a voice. And again, it calls her name, Alice. The voice is saying, wake up. It's calling for her. And again, it calls her name, Alice. And again, it's asking her to wake up. She thinks to herself, I have to get up. She was thinking to herself that she was being called. They're saying, yes, wake up, older sister, wake up. Wake up, older sister. She's thinking what? She's thinking that she had a funny dream. It must have been a good dream, or it should have been a good dream, she said. But instead it was a funny dream.
お姉さんってば、起きてくれないといたずらするよ。
They're actually saying, older sister, our sister, if you don't wake up, you'll get the double. So they're saying that they'll play tricks on her. That woke her up. And she opened her eyes to see the danger, is what that said. She's like, what? What is going on? She was calling out their name because she thought that it was them, D and Dumb. And she's thinking to herself, was it them? Or was she just half asleep? And she's thinking that she can't hear the two voices anymore, that she was alone in her room and that she was sleeping there alone last night. She's thinking that there's just no way that they were in her room. And she's like, I'm awake now to grasp the situation. And she's like, it couldn't work. Like, I don't see them, I don't hear them. And she's like, but for the dream, I'm dead set on that I heard it, and that I dreamt of it. So she's just thinking that she dreamt of them doing this. And she's like, what is that? Because she catches movement. And suddenly the twins are there. She's like, what? In her bedroom? Because they have no shame, and they brought their axes. And they're like, oh, you're lucky that you woke up.
あ、お姉さん起きたんだね。よかった。うなされてたから心配したよ。
They're talking about how they were worried about her. And they were like, oh, sister, you woke up. Good.
起きた起きた。おはようお姉さん。
Well, they said, good morning, sister, Ohio.
But でもすぐに起きちゃうのは良くないよ兄弟。もうちょっと寝ていてくれたらいたずらできたんだよ。
And then they're like, it's good to get up at once. And then they're like, hey, brother, did you come also because they were oversleeping? Or they said that they came to see her because she was oversleeping. And they were agreeing with each other, which they do a lot.
そうだね兄弟。でも寝たままで無反応っていうのは効率は良くても寂しいものさ。やっぱり起きてくれてよかったよ。
So that was an agreement, so I agree, my brother, and then... They were like, we were lonely, we're glad that you woke up. You were really unresponsive when you had gone to bed.
それもそうだね兄弟。起きたっていたずらはできるもんね。
That was definitely another agreement. So he was like, I agree, my brother. And they were like, yes, we're glad that you woke up. And they're like, it would do you harm if you had stayed asleep, is what that really came out.
寝たままなんて得意なシチュエーションじゃないと燃えられないほど枯れてないもんね。僕ら子供だから。 そうそう。どうせいたずらするなら起きていてくれた方がいいよ。僕らも楽しいし、お姉さんも楽しめる。
Well, first they were talking about what a unique situation. And they're like, if they don't have to, they don't want to work. We're kids. And they wanted to play with her. This next part... They were like, and then we would have played a trick on you if you wouldn't have woken up. So it's good. We can have fun and you can enjoy it too now. Instead of just them enjoying playing tricks on her. And she's thinking to herself, wait a little bit. Don't do that. It's giving you a small introduction to Dee and Dum, who are the twin gatekeepers of this clockwork world. This version of Wonderland, they all have clocks instead of hearts. You learned that in the first game. She's going on about their characteristics. She's like, the twins are still indistinguishable. And she's talking about how she's staying with them in the Hatter family's household. And that they're the gatekeepers. And that she's surprised when she looks at them because they are boys, and they look innocent. And they appear to be carefree. And she's like, they're fearless children, and that they were appointed by the head of the household to guard the gates. And that they are terrible children, that were put in charge of this territory, also a Mafia house. Her exasperated face. And she's like, they're alias the Bloody Twins. It's as the name implies. And when they get angry or playful, it's pretty accurate. Hence their axes in her bedroom. She's still thinking to herself about how they treat her. And she's like, they should be called model gatekeepers. They have enthusiasm with the enemy, of course. And she's a non-enemy, so they treat her differently. But they're very brutal and efficient with their enemies. She's talking about the average person coming to the house. And she's like, they would cut them apart, both customers and anyone, just because the general public is close to the house, even passerbys, because that almost happened to her. In the first game, when she was deciding where to stay, if you went to go visit their house, they tried to kill her at the gate. And then Elliot came by and tried to kill her too. And she's like, there's zeal. And then she's like, their enthusiasm is uneven because if they want to take a break, they go for a very long vacation when one should just go to take a break. So they're enthusiastic about their gatekeeping work, but at the same time, when they want to take a break, they just go for a vacation instead. Which is true. She's like, I have to go and see if they're in front of the gate because they're only there once in a while. He's like, what are you saying, big sister? We're a child. Or we're children. They're like, what do you say? I can't wait. They're still going on about going to play with her. They're like, I can't stand the wait. And again, they're going on about how they're children. And I believe she's thinking to herself how cute they are. Because she's like, they're so plump. Should be more like chubby cheeks. Like, they're exasperating, but they're really, really cute. She thinks that all the time. But she's also thinking that there's tension and it's too scary. Or that there's no tension and that it's too scary. And then she's reminded again that she thought she heard them last night in her dream. And she's questioning their maturity. And she's like, wait a minute, wait, is what that translated to. And again, she says, wait, ... Yeah, and then she just keeps repeating, wait, over and over again. She's trying to think because she just woke up. And she's like, well, at least the twins finally stopped because they were advancing on her and they're always trying to glomp her, but they're carrying axes, which is dangerous, and they don't really get that. That was literally, yes, older sister, what is it? That's usually like a sigh. Well, he literally said, what is it? Older sister. And they're like, did we do anything? Can we do anything? She's like, what do you mean, what did you do? I've told you before. Look around you. What room are you in, is what she's saying. Because she realizes that she wasn't dreaming the whole time, that they were probably in her bedroom. She just didn't realize it. And she's mad now. She's thinking to herself about their frequent intrusions into her bedroom, how it's too dangerous for her to really go off on them. But it's also dangerous for them to be intruding in her bedroom like this. And she was like, there was a promise that they wouldn't do that. And she's like, you broke your promise, didn't you? And he's asking, what promise, brother? Eh? They're talking amongst themselves. They're like, oh, well, we're kids, just forget it, okay? And they're like, weren't you kidding? And she can't believe this. She's talking to herself right here. She's like, the door must have been locked. ... And they're like, well, that was no problem. They're like, it was sweet of us to have a key, my sister. They're like, that's right, my sister. And they're like, yes, it's easy to break in. Of course. She's just blown away. And now she's mad again. She's like, what? And she's like, kids, yeah, right. And they're like, well, what do you mean? She's like, and she goes off again. The gist of what she's saying, I believe, is you're missing the point of what she was trying to get across to them, that they had made a promise and that they broke it, that they can't just, like, bail out by saying that they're kids. And she's like, the door, like, what happened to the door? Because they broke into her bedroom. So she's pissed about that, too. They actually broke it down, so their master key was their axe. And she's like, I can see the corridor. Because the door's gone. She's like, it must have happened while I was asleep. Because it wasn't like this before she went to bed. And she's like, yeah, when I got up in the morning, the door of the room was out, just like that. So it must have just happened. She's like, what a wonderland. What a crazy place. She's like, what did you guys do with it, you guys?
だからさ、壊したよ。壊して邪魔だったから避けといたんだ。
They're like, we broke it? It was an obstacle. Yeah? No shit.
僕らいい子なんだ。だからちゃんとお片付けだってできるんだよ。
They're like, we're good boys, we can clean it up. Or they were asking her to clean it up.
そうそう、お片付けバッチリ。斧でバッサリやってから捨てておいたよ。
Yeah, they were saying that they were going to clean it up and that they're actually going to throw it away. Like, why do you need a door to your room?
これで僕らとお姉さんを阻むものはなくなったよ。よかったね、お姉さん。
Well, the last part was I'm glad, older sister. Or my sister. Both the same thing. And they're like, now there's no longer any obstacle between us and our older sister. And she's just like, dot, 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 dot. Where's the logic? She's dazzled by it. She's like, good boys keep their word. She's choosing to address this first. She's commenting how they're not good boys. She's like, and if you were before, I'd faint from it in surprise. And then she's questioning, like, how did you guys get better? You got worse. And she's commenting to herself about how she's staying in a Mafia headquarters and that she's been staying there for quite a long time, because this picks up from the last game, as if she didn't choose a route to stay on and had just stayed for all of her friends in the dream world. So she's been staying there with them in this version of events since the first game, and so she's more bold than she used to be, and that she's getting stronger, she remarks to herself. Before, she wouldn't have said stuff like that. Just outright. And she's like, children who don't keep their promises are bad. Well, they were definitely disagreeing with her. And they were like, what do you mean by that? No, no, that's not accurate. We're good boys, is what they always try to say. And they're talking about the promise that they made with her. They're wondering if she's angry over it being broken. And they're like, but we haven't broken any promises. And she's remarking about the broken door. She's like, the broken door wasn't part of the promise, but coming in the room was. And she's like, it's a matter of time. Or actually, she was like, that's basically splitting hairs. I believe is what that was trying to translate to. And she's repeating to them, like, the actual promise was, you made a promise, didn't you, to not go into the room without permission. And she's like, your promise should be valid if you don't do it again. She gives in to them all the time. And she reiterates to them again, because she's like, cause and effect, and like, it's a matter of time. Because right now they're trying to split hairs, so she's just trying to like reiterate, like, don't do it. You're a bad boy if you break a promise, is what she told them there. And they're like, we're not bad boys, we're not bad boys. There's a reason, my sister, there's a reason that we came in. And they're going to tell her about the move, which happened in between the first game and this one, to bring her to the new country of Wonderland. They physically, like, picked up the land and the location and dropped it into another, like, part or dimension of Wonderland while they were sleeping. And she has no idea. And she's thinking to herself, why did they break in? Like, what is this reason? So he's reiterating to her that yes, there was a reason that they came in, and she's being asked not to call them bad boys because they hate it. That they hate her calling them that, and that they hate her thinking of them as bad boys. That's like their catchphrase. We're good boys, we're good children, as they're cutting down enemies. And then her response to them was that it better be a good reason. And she's hoping that that's what it is. And she's like, what's the reason? She's asking them for some space. She's like, and step back. Because they're still all up in her face with their axes, and she's still in bed. Like that CG there. And she's like, you gotta leave a little bit of room between us. So no, get back. And they're like, no, no, sister, no, no. And they're still talking about her hating them because she was saying that they were bad boys. So they're still going on about that while she's asking them for some space. And they're like, I don't want to be a bad boy. I don't want to be a bad boy. Don't call us that. Don't. And she's thinking to herself here. She's like, are you guys even listening? She's like, an axe is in front of my face. That's like what that says right there, is an axe. She's like, I want you to move the axe. And she's like, they're hugging me, and it's rather close to my body every time. They never let go of their axe. She's like, there's always two, and always with axes. And just about anything could happen with a twist. She's like, I don't like this. I'll die, is what that says right there. So she was telling them, I'll die. Give me some space. I'll die if you don't. And then he was responding that it's more likely that they'll be the ones to die if they're told by her to depart from her. So they're like, we're not letting go. That first part was definitely, that's right. So he was agreeing with his brother that they'll die if they have to be departed from her. They actually said after that if you don't like it that much, if you hate it that much, our hearts are broken. I'm dying every minute. And then she freaks out. She's like, you're almost killing me with these hugs here. Because you legit have axes that are gleaming in front of my face. And she's like, actually, it's me. That's right. Cut it out. Because it would be me that would die. So they're arguing. And she's talking about how the axe is really bright and how it's really close, like it's shining brilliantly. They're talking about how they're poor little boys and that they work very hard. Like, why are you picking on us?
そうだよそうだよ。僕ら傷ついたよ。起こしに来たのにはちゃんと理由があるのに。
That was definitely an agreement at the beginning. So da yo. And then the rest of it was, I'm hurt. I'm here for a reason, to wake you up. They're like, we're not bad boys. And she's like, forget that. Put up your axe. Your axe. Because they're focused on two completely different things. She's just like, they don't listen, these twins. She's talking about how she doesn't feel like she's still alive because he was entangling her with an axe. Yay, Elliot! And he's telling them to knock it off. Yeah, he's like, leave off! And she's just like, Elliot? She's like, surprisingly, I actually feel relieved with him there. So they were definitely calling him that Chicky Rabbit nickname that they have for him, which is about him forgetting things if he takes 2 steps, just like a chick instead of a full-grown chicken. And because he denies that he's a rabbit, they always tease him about being a rabbit. And they're like, don't grab us. And they called him an idiot rabbit, because that's Baka Usagi. And they're like, you should be the last one saying anything. And that he was actually just denying that he's a rabbit. He's like, shut up about that, I'm not a rabbit. And she's commenting to herself that she likes his ears, that they were excited with his yelling and moving. Because he's got long rabbit ears, because he's the March Hare. The Mafia's number 2. Blood Dupree is 2nd, the Mad Hatter. And then it's just giving you like an introduction to Elliot March, which is his name in this game. She's talking about his appearance of the rabbit ears and how he's the number 2 in the Mafia. And he is actually a pretty scary guy. But most of the time, like, she doesn't see that. And he gets in a lot of fights, she says. And she's also commenting that he has, like, an appearance of work ethic, and that he was kind to her, that he grumbled about the twins being the gatekeepers. And she's like, I think of him as a brother. I can't hide that. She's commenting about how he's, again, the second in the Mafia. And that number 2 is enough to make him the boss himself, but Elliot is a passionate devotee of his boss Blood, the Mad Hatter. And that he's very, like, gung-ho for his job. He has no desire to move up. And she's talking about how she doesn't want to, like, bring him down. So she's inclined to hang out with him and do, like, the carrot dishes that he's so obsessed with, because that's his thing. He denies being a rabbit, but he likes cooked carrots, not raw. And he forces it on everybody around him. But they learned to ditch him, so she's the only one left now. And she's talking about how Elliot's belief is pushed forward and that he doesn't hesitate. Also, again, about his carrot obsession. And she's talking again about how the carrot dishes are directed at her. And that she can't help but cry a bit on the inside about the meal. While being like, or trying to be beautiful and obedient.
お前ら、女の寝込みを襲うなんて最低だぜ。女の部屋に許可なく勝手に入るなよ。
Just before that, she was actually commenting to herself that she didn't want to rain on the parade of the people in the main part of the house. And Elliot had just burst in between the twins while she was having this inner monologue. So he's commenting on this. He's like, why are you guys the worst of the worst, attacking a woman in her sleep? Don't go into the ladies' room without permission. So he is outright, like, scolding the twin gatekeepers because he's pissed. And there's no response. No response. No response. And so all three of them gave no response to his question. And he's just like, what? Why are you guys looking at me? They're all like, because he did it too. Just burst in. She's finally commenting on it. She's like, but you're just coming in too. Like, what? Yoko. バカウサ. They're calling him an idiot rabbit. And she has no response. She's like, well, so she actually commented just before that Elliot is okay. After a pause. And then they're freaking out about that, because they're like, well, why? What? Why can Elliot come in? They're like, no, get out. What are you saying? They're going on about how cruel she is to them, like, hidoi, hidoi. Which is like, you're being so cruel, my sister, our older sister. It was different versions of that. She's like, the twins are in favor of each other, of course. And are appealing for their favor. She just outright said it, and then Elliot's response was this face, an exclamation point with a question mark, because she's like, all right, you two, Elliot's special. And Elliot's just like, what? He was questioning her about what's special. And she's talking about how he blushed. And it looks like she's blushing a little too. She's like, it's funny, to herself. As they have this cute little moment. She's saying that for his build, she doesn't know if it's true, but she thinks he's cute. She calls him Bunny Man in her head all the time. Or just Bunny. And she's still commenting about how cute she thinks he is. She's commenting to herself that he's a cute little bunny. And she's like, with a smile on her face, it's okay to go in the room without permission if it's Elliot. She's like, Bunny! In big letters, Bunny! He's like, Alice. With a gasp, and then he stutters. Because he's still shocked that she said that she'd just let him into her room whenever. She's like, come and see me, I don't mind, with a huge grin. No shame. She's blushing, and she's talking about how he's a bunny rabbit. And she's just like, it's fine. And she's talking about how he was staring back at her now, because he was a little flustered, and that she just looked back at him. She's commenting about, like, how she's giving up, and, like, she's gonna give into the cuteness now. When she really gets going, she tugs his ears and pulls him so hard that she, like, tries to yank him out.